told you that most people aren't broke because of how much they make, but they're broke because of the way they think. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some mindsets that are keeping you financially stuck, even though that you're earning a lot of money. Number one is focusing on income as opposed to focusing on net worth. Most people obsess about how much they earn instead of focusing on how much they keep, how much they grow, and how much they can multiply. You can be making six-figure income, but yet you are still broke. How come? It's because like every dollar that you're making, it's going out there and you don't even know where it's going. And you just keep thinking about, how much money that you can make. And the money that you're making is going out faster than it's coming in. The truth is, your net worth is what you should be focusing on instead of focusing on your paycheck. When we think about net worth, we're thinking about the millionaires, we're thinking about the billionaires, and we're thinking, how can I calculate, my own net worth? And you might think, I don't have any net worth. But the truth is, each and every one of us, we have a net worth. And simply, what's the net worth? Net worth is simply adding up every single thing that you own. Let's say you own a house, a rental property, your investments, the cash that you have in the bank, your retirement account, what you have in there, your investments, each and every single thing that you have, your car, if you own your house, as I said, your mortgage, adding all those are your assets. And let's say you might even have gold somewhere, anything that is precious to you and that you own, it's adding up all that, and then minusing all your liabilities. And what are your liabilities? Liability is the amount of money that you owe. Let's say it's your house, you calculate the market value. Let's say you bought it at $650, but today it's worth $750,000. So what you're calculating is that market value, and then you minus the mortgage and everything, like let's say it's a car payment, you minus how much you owe on that, and what's left is your net worth. And that can be a positive or minus. So do not be afraid of calculating your net worth, because when you calculate your net worth, it's showing you the milestones that you're making, as opposed to always looking at the income. Because sometimes we're looking at the income to just have the income and to just say that we're making so much money, but we're not really seeing whether we're making any progress. And the way I look at a net worth, it looks at your financial health, because sometimes we don't even measure whether we are financially healthy or not. So don't be so obsessed about bringing the income. Be obsessed at looking at your financial health, and that is your net worth. So number two is talking about, the way we talk to ourselves and like making statements like, I cannot afford it, as opposed to say, how can I afford it? One is a statement and the other one is a question. When we make a statement saying, I cannot afford it, it shuts down our brain and it shows like, that's it. There is no other solution. But when we ask ourselves, how can I afford it? It makes us become resourceful. It makes our mind start thinking, how can I afford that? Because most of the time, even for me personally, I have missed out on investment opportunities because I told myself that I could not afford it. Instead of asking, how can I afford that? Because of lack of resourcefulness, I missed out on opportunities. And this, I'm always now thinking about, let's say you're sick, and I'm not saying that you're sick, and there is a cure for a certain disease, and the cost is gonna be $100,000, and you only have a month to get that pill. And if you come up with $100,000, you're gonna be given that pill, and that's the disease that you have is gone. Guess what? Each one of us would go out there and will be able to come up with that $100,000, because we know it's a matter like almost life and death. But in our finances or in our opportunities, where we are given opportunities and we keep telling ourselves that I cannot afford it, it shuts us down. But we need to have a mindset of resourcefulness. How can I afford these things? let's change our mindset in our finances about, being resourcefulness, instead of just saying, making statements that I cannot afford it. The next one is, it's a B word. That's what I call it. It's people thinking that budgeting is restricting, as opposed to seeing budgeting as a way of freedom. A budget, most people look at it as a punishment, and thinking like, if I make a budget, if I manage my money following a budget, I am gonna be restricted. I am going to be oppressed. It's like an oppression. Like, if people hear the word budget and they cringe and they're like, oh my goodness, do not talk to me about the B word. Like it's this whole thing that we shouldn't be talking about. And for me, I look at a budget as like a GPS, where a budget is directing you. It's like almost like, let's say I live in Florida and I want to go to California somewhere. Let's say somewhere that you want to drive, but you don't even know where that place is. You need a GPS. You cannot just get into your car and just start going into circles. You cannot just get into your car and just start driving without knowing where you're going. It's the same thing as a budget. It tells us where is your money going, as opposed to you thinking, where did my money go? So do not be afraid of budget. Look at a budget as your best friend. And simply, if you don't want to go, into the nitty gritties of the Excel sheets and all that kind of stuff, just be like, for me, I'm a paper and a pen girl. You write all your things that you need, your wants and your needs, all. You look at it and you look at your rent, your mortgage, your food, your grocery, everything. And some other people fill that category, and then they call the other category miscellaneous. And so that when you are out there, you're not overspending your money on things and then you're left with nothing. So do not be afraid of a budget, because even, for example, every successful business has a budget, and what makes us think personally that we don't need a budget, and that's how I feel like we get in trouble, and we fall into debt because we're not following a budget. So let's make sure that we are not afraid, and we change our mindsets about budgeting our money. The other one, number 4, is avoiding a bank account, looking at your bank account, as opposed to thinking that, I don't want to look at my bank account because I don't want to be scared to see what that is in there. But making a habit of looking at your finances weekly, or even every 2 weeks, and seeing, because most of the time it's where we find that there's a mistake or there's a bill that went through that you didn't even think about. Let's say it's those ERA subscriptions that most of us usually sign up for, and then we forget that, I signed up for I'm not gonna say Netflix. Let's say it's a course or something it's renewed annually, and you forget. So if you don't catch it and it's not even on your budget, then you fall into bank, overdraft on your banks and everything. And a good example for me, like I just got, it's not a lot of money, but like $13.99, where my son had used my card to sign up for a free, it was like, I think like a 6-month premium for YouTube, but then he forgot to cancel it. But guess what? That $13, if I didn't know, and let's say that your statements don't come into the mail and they're paperless, then you're not going to be able to see that, and then you have an overdraft or you'll mess up your credit. So let's always be looking at our bank's accounts. The other big example that I have is that I used to do, like I see a lot of people being afraid of looking at their bank statements or bank accounts. I used to do, there's a church that I used to go to, and I used to do a life group where I was teaching people how to get out of debt, and would come together. And one of the things that we were looking at was the fact that, how much what are we spending on? How are we spending our money on, like every month, or would come up with our bank statements for 2 months. And like I found, like when I started the group, like a lot of people would come with their bank statements, but they were not even opened. And they would tell me that, that they haven't even looked at their bank accounts for months. And it was shocking. I remember this lady was so shocked to see the amount of money that she had an overdraft. She even saw that she was paying for a gym that she had signed a couple years, and she doesn't even go to that gym anymore. And she was like shocked, like literally she found like almost $300, I'm not even lying, almost $300 that were going out there, like she didn't even know, that was not even necessary. So for me, it's very important, like us changing our mindset and having these habits of managing our money and looking at our bank accounts to see what's going on. Number 5 is not letting our past define our wallet and starting to create our new stories. Most of us grew up, maybe we didn't have money. We saw the way our parents talked about money. We had money doesn't grow on trees. We had money is evil, the root of loving money is evil, and all this kind of stuff that we grew up, or we have never been taught about money, because in these days even our schools are not teaching our children money. So we have had this negative thing about money, and yet instead of like really teaching ourselves and creating our new money stories, we stay on those old money stories that we always told ourselves, that money is only for the wealthy. I do not deserve to be wealthy. Like, instead of doing that, I want us, like this year of 2025, to start changing what we thought about money, to stop defining ourselves with our past and start creating new stories. What is a new story about money for yourself that you're going to start creating in 2025? And once we start changing those money mindsets, I feel like we can get so much further, because what is keeping us from where we are most of the time is not that we don't have a lot of money, it's our mindset. And sometimes we also think about, the money that I have, the money is only to be spent, because sometimes we tell ourselves that, I have one life to live and we're living for today. Tomorrow, who knows about tomorrow? So let us change our money mindset about the stories that we tell ourselves. And guess what? The pen is in your hand today. Start writing your new story about money mindset, and let me know in the comments what money mindset story that you're going to start writing for your own life. Number 7 is stop waiting to make more money and start mastering what you have right now. You might be at the stage where you're not making a lot of money today, but you're mismanaging what you have. Even the Bible says in Luke 16:10 that whoever can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So sometimes we think that when we get a lot of money, we're gonna start managing our money better. But if you cannot manage the 500 that you have today, what makes you think that you can be able to manage $1,000? If you cannot manage the $1,000 that you have, what makes you think that you can be able to manage $5,000? If you cannot manage the $5,000, what makes you think that you can be able to manage $10,000? So let us work on learning how to manage what we have. Let's be faithful with what we've been given. If the money that you have, let's say it's that 1,000, what are you doing with it? Are you being faithful with it? Are you like really, really spending it the right way? Or even if it's 1,000 and it's maybe not even enough, are you still going out there and blowing it? Are you still going out there and overspending it? Are you spending it even before it gets there? And then you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're living on your credit cards. So let us change our mindset, and let's start mastering what we have. For example, I believe that excellence always invites elevation. So be excellent with what you have. And I'm going to say that again. Excellence always invites elevation. So let's be faithful with what we have. Let us be able to manage the little that we have so that we can be trusted with more. And my last one of number 8 is stop spending for validation and start building your legacy. If spending money that you're doing today is for impressing other people that don't even need to notice you, you're robbing your future to validate your present. I'm going to say that one more time. If you're spending money to impress people who don't even notice you, you're robbing your future to validate your present. So stop validating your present. Stop spending to impress other people. They don't even care. They don't even know you. Because sometimes we're like, we want to buy we have a car, but then because my friend is driving such and such a car, I want to match up my friend. I don't have good cultures, but my friend has these cultures and I want to be able to match up with her. Or I move into a neighborhood where I cannot even afford because I want the status. So start building your legacy. Because I feel like most of us, we are not legacy oriented, and there are a certain group of people that are so legacy oriented. They're thinking about legacy. Even when you hear about the Hiltons, all these wealthy families and their legacies, we want also to be those people. Let's us be legacy oriented, because I feel like most of the time we just think about, like, for me, let's say me and my husband and my kids, I'm just thinking about me, my bills and all that, and I'm not even thinking about legacy at all. Let us be a people that are thinking about legacy, so that when we think about legacy, that the legacy that you have right now, it doesn't die with you, that your children, your children's children, your children's children, and their children, and their children's children, it'll be known of a legacy where, let's say, we have, like, where I live, and there is these buildings that I'm always seeing, and I'm always thinking that that's gonna be me one day. Like, there's these buildings are called the Cummins. Like, you go everywhere, and I look at that and I'm like, wow. When I looked back one time and I was like, these Cummins was a family years and years and years back, but their buildings are still everywhere. Like, there's so many buildings in one city. You will see Cummins properties, Cummins buildings, Cummins this, and I'm like, wow, that is a true legacy. So let us be a people that do not impress other people, but we are building a legacy, remembering impressing other people won't even pay your debts. Buying things that you cannot afford to prove a point is the fastest way to stay broke. And remember, real wealth isn't loud. It's built quietly, consistently, and with intention for the next generation. So shift your mindset from how can I look successful to how can I become someone who leaves something behind. Legacy doesn't come from flexing, it comes from building. And that's all that I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed this money mindset, and let me know in the comment, what mindset do you think that I forgot, or what other mindset have you heard that is holding us financially, that is keeping us from getting into the financial freedom that we desire? Or let me know, the ones that I talked to, which one spoke to you best. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.